So I have done a couple videos on the Ladybird Lake Killer in Austin, Ladybird Lake. Well, I don't know if this is the same serial killer, which I'm convinced, regardless of what the Austin PD are saying, that there's definitely something going on. And even the most recent Carol Lieberman, forensic psychiatrist and expert witness trial, and basically well known in the media, called the Austin PD out on the fact that they need to acknowledge that there's a serial killer, basically. So, I'm wondering, now that in Houston there's some kind of serial killing going on, whether it's one person or multiple people, but I'm going to show you something. Now, whether there's history beyond this, I don't know, but starting in last June, there are so many bodies that have been found in Houston. It's called the BAYOUS bodies, basically. So, if this is the same serial killer, then I think we should just call it the water killer. Because basically, in June 17th, a body of a 12-year-old was found in a creek in the BAYOUS. Now, these could be maybe multiple ones, but it's just way too many. I'm going to show you how close together they are also. June 29th, body was recovered from the bayou near Highway 6. July 1st, Kenneth Cunning's body found in Buffalo Bayou. July 10th, a man's body was found in a retention pond near Greens Bayou. July 11th, body was recovered from White Oak Bayou. And this goes on. I mean, all year. It just goes on and on and on. August 17th, a woman was found in Brays Bayou, and her ex-boyfriend was later charged with murder. So that one obviously was on its own. But on September 14th, a fisherman discovered a man's body floating in Brays Bayou. October 15th, 1 month later, a body was found floating in Brays Bayou. No signs of foul play, they say, were found. November 19th, a body who had been shot found in Buffalo Bayou. February 12th, so you have December and January, nothing happened. It's pretty cold during those months. A human skull was found in a cooler near Buffalo Bayou, and it may be that, I don't know if they had ice there or not. I don't know. Anyways, March 31st, a man's body was found floating in Brays Bayou in the southeast Houston. There's no initial evidence of foul play. April 15th, here we are 2 weeks later. And now, once the weather's getting warmer, it really starts getting frequent. A man's body is found floating in Buffalo Bayou near downtown Houston. May 8th, 3 weeks later, body found from Buffalo Bayou near downtown Houston. The identity and circumstances surrounding the discovery are unknown. That's interesting. Why are these unknown? May 13th, a body was recovered from Buffalo Bayou near downtown Houston. The identity and circumstances surrounding the discovery are unknown. How is that? May 13th, this followed a previous report of 2 additional bodies discovered in the bayous in the preceding week. So there wasn't just the one, there was 2 more. May 16th, a man's body was pulled from Berry Bayou in southeast Houston. His identity and cause of death are currently unknown. June 9th, a body was found in White Oak Bayou, near where it meets Buffalo Bayou in downtown Houston. The identity and cause of death are unknown. That sounds eerily similar to the whole Ladybird Lake Killer. Like, basically, if somebody is given a roofie or whatever, which there was one guy who survived that killer, who did test positive. A lot of times that's very challenging to test them. So if they can't find an obvious injury, they don't know what caused the death. Okay, if it was drowning, there would be lungs, like water in the lungs. They'd be able to tell an autopsy that drowning is what caused her death. So the fact that there's just a whole lot of information about this, that's very concerning, right? So on July 24th, human remains found in a cooler near Buffalo Bayou were identified as Dion Williams, who had been reported missing in 2024. The cause of death is unknown. Well, obviously she's in a cooler, but they don't know specifically how she was killed, right? So this is a lot. That's a lot in the BAYOUS in Houston, okay? So it was reported in November that 10 bodies were found in the Houston area. This was last year, since June. So from June to November 19th were 10 bodies in the BAYOUS of Houston. That's insane. And as a whole, this is what AI says about the matter. A forensic psychiatrist, when I said, has openly called out the Austin PD. And I said there's zero evidence for anyone to rule out serial killer with Austin and Houston, especially in the light of the fact that the only month where there wasn't a body found was December and January, the very coldest months, right? And there was just steady flow of bodies being found. So this is what it said. It says, there has been public discourse and speculation surrounding the deaths in both Austin and Houston, including criticism leveled at law enforcement regarding their approach to classifying the cases. In Austin, the frequent discovery of bodies in and around Ladybird Lake has fueled public concern and led some to question the initial classification of these deaths as accidents or non-suspicious. Because you can't test bodies for date rape, drugs. It's very challenging for them to do that. So if that was the method of operandi, then, yeah, they just shouldn't do that. Some have suggested the circumstances warrant a more thorough investigation of the possibility of serial killer, while Austin Police PD maintains that only one death is considered suspicious at this time. Houston, similarly, the consistent discovery of bodies in Houston's BAYOUS with a seeming cooling off period during colder months has prompted speculation about a serial killer among some members of the community. While authorities have not officially declared the presence of a serial killer in Houston's BAYOUS, the consistent recovery of bodies during warmer months and the apparent cooling off period during colder months warrants further examination. So the role of a forensic psychiatrist can be crucial in cases. Carol Lieberman, she's a psychiatrist, and she's a forensic psychiatrist, and also expert witness in trial, and she's sort of a media personality, if you will. 3 Emmys for media, whatever. Anyways, but she has recently called out the Austin PD for prematurely trying to dismiss that there's a serial killer amiss. Them are. So behavioral profiling, analyzing crime scene evidence, victim characteristics, patterns of behavior to develop a profile of potential serial killer, assessing intent, evaluating the psychological state, potential motivations of a suspected offender, providing expert testimony, or basically calling out the authorities, which is what she did for their behavior of dismissiveness is problematic. That behavior was called out by the psychiatrist. It is important for law enforcement to consider all valuable evidence and expert opinions, including those from forensic psychiatrists such as Carol Lieberman, when investigating these cases. Dismissing the possibility of a serial killer without a thorough and ongoing investigation, especially when patterns or unusual circumstances exist, could be a disservice to the victims of the community. And you got a guy who was a survivor who said that he hadn't even been drinking, he wasn't drunk, and next thing you know, he wakes up in the hospital. And there was no way he could got up on that bridge and thrown himself over. He was thrown over that bridge, and thankfully he survived, and his blood tested for a date rape drug. Right? And so, this is not okay. When you see that amount of people dying. Now, they want to act like there's nothing suspicious going on, but here's the real deal. At least 10 bodies have been found in and around Houston BAYOUS since June 2024. Within a 4-month period, 10 bodies were recovered from the bayous, some dismembered, others found in coolers or floating trash cans. These incidents include 2 bodies found in Buffalo Bayou within a 2-week period in May 2025, another body found in White Oak Bayou near the Harris County Jail in June 2025. The cause of deaths vary, yeah, you think? Some of the identities of the deceased are still unknown. Some cases are remaining unsolved. They're actively working to investigate these cases and deter the dumping of bodies in the bayous. I just really think that it's time for the governor, the attorney general, the state police of Texas, the rangers, they need to get the state agencies in there and do an investigation and just consider that they may have a serial killer. Maybe some of these are like different situations, but that's way too many bodies. Way too many bodies. Over 38 since 2022 in Austin. And that one in Austin was just a specific area, right? Usually people that had gone to those bars. Okay, not all of them, but that was the usual situation there. So, but here in Austin, I'm like, maybe they're too different. But to have body dumpings in specific bodies of water. You have your Houston BAYOUS and then Austin Ladybird Lake. And so maybe they're not connected. But at this point, that many in a short period of time. And, you know, it's not the fact that it's being reported as, oh, there's an unusual amount of dumping or bodies being found in lake is telling you that this is not normal. Like, I saw a comment on Reddit where somebody was like, oh, it's all homeless people, and they just sleep near the water. I'm like, okay, well, if all these people are homeless people, and they just sleep near the water, okay, then how come they haven't had it just, like, this is a usual thing that happens in bodies of water with homeless people? I mean, it's just so dumb. Oh, they just get drunk and fall in the water. Okay, well, they're reporting on this because it's new, so that means this doesn't normally happen. It's just the craziest things that people say. But anyways, I just think people should just petition and just ask the governor, you know, to get involved and get a special task force together, because since last June of 2024, that was a lot of bodies ending up in the bayous in a very, very gross way, like in coolers, dismembered bodies and stuff like that. They really need to get serious and just stop dismissing this. It's just not acceptable. But anyways, that I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think that there's a connection between the Austin Ladybird Lake killer and the bayous killer? Are they one and the same? Multiple people? What do you think?